The first thing you should remember about the phlegmatic is that they are balanced in their emotions, in everything that they do. They try to find the middle ground. So we say that the phlegmatics have, or they possess, the most balanced type of temperament. Remember, the sanguines and the cholerics are the extremes. They are overly excited, or they are overly frustrated or furious. But the phlegmatic, you hardly see the phlegmatic expressing extreme emotion like anger or sadness or whatever it is. There is even handedness in the life of the phlegmatic in whatever it is that they do. They, they, they exhibit restraint, constancy, and deliberateness of mental reactions. So whatever it is that the phlegmatic does, if the phlegmatic is laughing, if the phlegmatic is sharing an idea, you know that this person has gone through systematic analysis before coming up with the solution or suggestions. Let us look some more or deeper into the phlegmatics characteristics by looking at their strengths and weaknesses. The phlegmatic is a peacemaker. So the phlegmatic does not like quarrels. So they like to avoid conflict and chaos. So if a phlegmatic partner comes home and maybe um, there's a quarrel at home, they are likely to just go turn on the TV, sit, watch, and fall asleep. You know, just so that they do not have to respond and escalate the situation. They like calm. So whatever it is that they have to do to ensure that peace reigns, they do it. So you normally find that in the office, when there's a misunderstanding between the sanguines and the cholerics, you often find the phlegmatics acting as peacemakers. So phlegmatic is likely to enjoy calm music, like the country music, the ones that are quiet, you know, this kind of quiet atmosphere. They love it. So that is the phlegmatic peacemaker. The phlegmatic, as earlier said, is balanced. The phlegmatic is not overly jealous. It's the phlegmatic is not overly suspicious. The phlegmatic is not overly excited, hardly seen screaming, jumping around. The phlegmatic is not seen overly furious, throwing things here and there because things are not going their way. You do not see that with a phlegmatic. You just don't see that. So when you are married to a phlegmatic, you realize that sometimes it appears they are they do not want to push to have things their way. It is not because they don't like things going their way. It's just that they always consider the other person because they are balanced. So they always want to consider the other person. They look at what they are thinking, what they want, look at what the other person wants before they even come to a judgment. So you may think, why is he not pushing for this to happen? Why is she not pushing for that to happen? It's because they are objective. They're objective. And so if they bring up an idea and you come up with a counter idea, they are likely to keep quiet, to want to think about it before they come up with a rebuttal. They are balanced. Phlegmatics are kind hearted. Just like the sanguines, the phlegmatics are also a kind hearted group of people. Sometimes people see them as not romantic, but they actually are, just that they do not like to show their emotions, and we'll get there when we get to it. That's one of the challenges or the weaknesses that they have. But phlegmatics are kind-hearted people, and they do not discriminate. As earlier said, they like to analyze things. They like to be objective, and as such, if you have a phlegmatic friend and you think, hey, um, help me make this decision, this and that, what do you think is nice? Mary says it's this, John says it's, I say it's this. If you think the phlegmatic is your friend, and so the phlegmatic is going to take a decision in your favor, you might be disappointed. They do not discriminate. So they say things as they see it, they say things as they are. And because of that, cholerics often like phlegmatics in their office, because when they need an objective opinion, they often turn to the phlegmatic. That's because the phlegmatic is a little like them. Remember, phlegmatics are balanced. So if the the choleric is extremely action oriented, the phlegmatic is also like that, but not to that extreme. And the choleric sees it, so they see themselves in the phlegmatic and like to have them around. Phlegmatics are easygoing. Again, it is derived from their kind-heartedness and their non-discriminatory nature. They are not demanding. They are very witty because they think or analyze things before coming out with their opinions. You find that a lot of phlegmatics are smart, a smart kind of people. So phlegmatics also make for excellent leaders in the workplace or wherever it is that you need them to lead, and they are consistent. If you need people to be in a role that needs consistency, as in being in this role for a number of years, look for a phlegmatic. Look for a phlegmatic because they are consistent. They don't change or waver. If things happen, remember they have a balanced temperament, so they're able to absorb just like water does, and then take the shape of whatever situation they find themselves in, and then they move. By move, I mean move forward, not leave the organization or quit. They are not quitters. So let us look at some of the weaknesses of this temperament. Just like the cholerics are opportunists, the phlegmatics are not opportunists. That's because they like to take their time in doing whatever it is that they are doing. So because of that, they are not able to take advantage of opportunities that come their way. A phlegmatic might be interested in a role, that's fine, but the phlegmatic, unlike the choleric or even the sanguine, is not going to do everything in their power to ensure they get that role. If they get it, fine. If they don't, they move on. So we're saying that they are not opportunists. Phlegmatics are indecisive. Now, just as we did with the other temperaments, we are linking the strengths with their weaknesses to see how they complement each other. Because they are analytical, they think through things before they act. It often takes them some time to come to a decision. They're objective, so they clearly see the strengths and weaknesses of any position that is put before them. And so, because of this, unlike the choleric who quickly takes a decision and moves on, the phlegmatic likes to dwell on issues for a long time before taking a stance. And because of this, they appear to be indecisive. They are unemotional and inexpressive. They are balanced, so you do not see them express their emotions out there like you see with the sanguines and the cholerics. So that is one of the weaknesses, because you may be with as a phlegmatic and you may think the person is not appreciative of what you're doing or not excited by a surprise you decided to organize for the phlegmatic. Believe me, the phlegmatic is happy, the phlegmatic is excited, but the way of expressing himself or herself is not as intense as that of the sanguines and the cholerics. They have this unwillingness to become involved in deep relationships because they are emotional. Even though they do not express it, they also are emotional people. Sorry about that. That's my clock. They are they are they are unwilling to become involved in deep relationships because they do not like to get hurt. So rather than be in the relationship, well, then they might as well be outside and focus on one thing or the other that they are doing. So to get a phlegmatic to partner with you as a relationship, in a relationship, it may take some time to get the phlegmatic to come your way, but because they are consistent, if they finally agree to be your partner, they do not easily walk away when there are challenges like the sanguine might. So that is it for the phlegmatic. Let us look at the phlegmatic in the office setting. The phlegmatic tends to stay calm, cool, and collected all day long. If there's fire in the building, you may not see it from the countenance of the phlegmatic. They are able to absorb, they are able to adapt. So, whatever changes that come, they quickly and easily accept it and then they move on. So, as followers, it is exciting to work with the phlegmatic in the office because unlike the sanguines, they are not likely to challenge the status quo much. You change ways of doing things, they say, okay, let's go ahead, let's do it. If you want to maintain the status quo, that's fine with them. They are not impulsive people and they take care in their decision making, and this is one of the characteristics that make them good leaders in the office because they are not like the cholerics who are impulsive, take decisions, and then have to double back and try to correct the challenges that came with the decision. They are analytical, so they take their time in the decision making process. And that is why sometimes, even in a relationship, it takes them some time to agree to be in the relationship, or if it is an abusive relationship, it takes them some time to walk away from the relationship because they are not impulsive and they are careful decision makers. And they have a pleasing personality. So in the office too, just like the sanguines, it is nice to be around the phlegmatics because they are pleasant people, they are objective, and they also have a little of the energy that the sanguines have. As you can see in the next bulletin, they lack energy, but that is of course in comparison with the other temperaments like the sanguines and the cholerics. And because of their lack of decisiveness, sometimes it may delay action taking, and they don't like making major changes. They don't like making major changes. They like to do things gradually. Remember, they are analytical, so they always want to take a piece of the cake. Just take a piece, the next step, you take a piece until the whole cake is consumed. So if the change is major and they are the decision makers, then they would not make that major change. They like to do it in sequences. But if the change is made and they are followers, well, they would follow the change. And they may not set solid goals, take action fast enough, or face problems head on. And that is again because of the time they take in taking decisions. So they are seen to not act fast enough. They like people who recognize their strength and will initiate decisions. Because they take their time in doing things, people sometimes misconstrue them as lazy or as people who do not care about what is going on. So when you're able to recognize their strength, as in that they are analytical and they like to take decisions carefully, when you realize that about them, they get happy or they get excited with you. So if you're a boss with a phlegmatic follower, let the phlegmatic see that when it comes to certain decisions, you appreciate their thoughts and their feedback. When you do that, the phlegmatic would push to always be there for you. They don't like it when you push them too much because they like to take their time to do things. But then they're excellent workers because when they're doing whatever it is that they're supposed to do, they're fantastic at it. So, That is the phlegmatic for you.